Hi,
We're
Yvonne. We are.
Hi, Evie. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm laughing because I love what we're going to talk about today. It's uh, it's very tangled with drama, and like being Greek, I love a bit of drama. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I think also just to mention, I think we've got a little bit of a delay loop between us. So
oh,
to just be
okay,
aware.
okie dokie.
Yeah,
I
just so that
don't.
you know.
Okay.
No, it's just one of those things. It's probably with all the heat going on, everything's probably just going into meltdown. Nothing more than that.
And we have heat everywhere at the moment, don't we? Yeah, I know. It's hard.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So let's just to as a recap for anyone who might be watching for the first time, that these weekly lives that we're doing are really focused on the work that is drawn from positive intelligence, which is a key modality that we use in our community so that people can break free and break out of the habits, behaviors, and thought patterns that are potentially keeping them small, keeping them stuck, and really getting in the way of their progression. And what we have looked at previously are the different saboteurs that we talk about. We've looked at the sage powers, so what powers us up to break some of those behaviors and to think from a much more helpful perspective, like through the lens of curiosity and being explorers as opposed to being judgmental and all of that good stuff. And for the past few weeks and today, we've been focusing on myth busting. So some of those phrases that come up that we use, and what might be playing in the background of those phrases, what are the saboteurs that might be driving that, and really what does it really mean, and how can we start to reframe some of that terminology. I think that's about right, Evie.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
the whole point is that we are like constantly, all of us, believing certain things to be true, and that is only because we keep repeating them so much. And it's not just us, it's like how we are brought up and all these things that we hear all the time. So we tell these things to ourselves, some of the things more than others, but the point is that we really can figure out a better way to handle our lives without sabotaging ourselves. And that's why we're talking about saboteurs. They love those phrases, and it depends on the different types of phrases and different types of things that we're talking about. Like, for example, today we're talking about guilt, and I think especially when it comes to uh, phrases that have to do with how much we should be doing, and how much we're not, and all these things. Then we're looking at the hyperachiever or the pleaser, that they are playing really high up. But I'm sure you're going to explain that a bit better than me at the moment. I'm a bit conscious about this. I have lost my train of thought, but hey.
that's why it's always good that there's two of us, right? Because if we lose a
Yeah.
train of thought, somebody else can pick it up. We're all good.
Yeah.
So this week, as you said, kind of that guilt loop, and we'll look at two phrases, and the first one is, "I should be doing more." So if you've ever found yourself, or if you find yourself repeating this message, "I should be doing more," quite often it's because you are really deeply engaged in output, and it may be that you're seeing other people showing up doing loads of things, and it's almost like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing that, I should be doing more. That can be that driving force, which is very common for, or maybe quite relatively common for the hyperachiever, right, who wants to be seen as doing, right? So there's that, but also the pleaser, who is the person who feels that they should be doing more, probably for everybody else. It's like, how else can I help this person? What else should I be doing? Again, kind of seeking approval and reward from that outer space. And I should be doing more. Is it a loop that I'm familiar with? Absolutely. I like to think that that's not something that comes up for me really now, but in the past, it has definitely been a loop that has played out. And that has been definitely my hyperachiever feeling that, you know, I should be further ahead. So the messages are, I should be further ahead. Therefore, I should be doing more. What haven't I done? What's this other person doing? So that comparison then comes into it. And all of this is just these saboteur thoughts and behaviors that put pressure, really. It's just like a pressure on you. And then you wonder why you kind of spiral a little bit out of control and get stressed and feel dissatisfied with what you are doing and what you have done. And for me, definitely, that sense of, I am not doing enough, and therefore I'm dissatisfied with my achievements. And all that really does is means that every time you achieve something, there's no celebration. There's nothing, there's no reward that goes with it, because you're just dissatisfied because it's not enough. I don't know how it's shown up at all for you, Evie, if it has.
Oh, it has. It has. And even to this day, there are days that I feel it. No matter how much work we do, and how much I know this is not real, it does show up. It's just that nowadays I can more quickly um, put a stop to it and call it out, basically. But you're very right. It plays up very much with the comparison. Also, time. And I think that because of as we grow older, we are like, oh, I should have done this by now. And there are so many things culturally that they're expected to have been done by certain ages, at least in Greece. And when this happens, and when the AIDS has passed, nothing has happened as it was meant to happen, then this creates a huge internal fight, and of course the guilt loop. So yeah, definitely. And having the hyperachiever very high on my saboteur list, I can feel how it does show up for me. But as I said, the good thing is that now I can like call it out much faster. And also realize, and I think that's where like the work starts, from asking the question, like, is this true? Because it is very easy to just assume and accept. But like when you find yourself in this predicament, just ask, is this true? And most of the times you will realize it's not. Even you can see that. No matter, you know, what the surroundings are, what the circumstances are and stuff, because it is up to us, right? That's why I'm saying, even you can see that, even I can see it. The moment I say, is this true, it stops me on my tracks. And I think it's a good question to ask.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a great question, because I think it's the understanding that all of these things feel very real, and if somebody said to you, prove it, you would probably be able to find 5 or 6 things that would prove it, simply because you're locked in that pattern and you're looking for things to prove it, right? And then when you ask the question, but is it true? Which is a very different thing. Then it's like, well, is it true? Or am I just creating this story based on these pieces of information that I have gathered to confirm that I'm right, to confirm that this feeling is real? And it gives you time to pause, gives you time to reflect. And that's the important part that we need. And I love what you said about age, because I think that that becomes almost such a pressure. It's like, if by this age you haven't done this, haven't got this, haven't been here, what are you doing? What have you been doing? Where's your time gone? And that is still so prevalent when I listen to or am even involved in conversations, that people still use very certain markers to determine where you are or are not. And it's almost like, for me, that's questioning that. Well, who put those markers in place? And why do I have to be benchmarked by that, if that's not the benchmark that matters to me? So, this is one of those moments. And I think, like you said, Evie, that you get to stop in your tracks and actually hold on a moment. What does this really mean? How true is this? And even if somebody else thinks it's important, is it important to me? Does it matter to me? And that for me is one of the things that I really like to tap into, is just because the world is dictating XYZ, does that mean to say that I have to jump on board and follow suit? Or do I actually get to reflect on that and make my own choices and decisions? And for me, I should be doing more has become, I'm going to say it's just become less important, because I focus on what I believe is truly important in my life. Work. One of the things that we're not trying to do is kind of get rid of every one of the attributes, because there are attributes to the saboteurs too, the underlying powers. We're not trying to get rid of them. What we're doing is being aware, so that we can really kind of tune into, is this truth, fact, real, or is this just what I'm feeling in this moment? Can I do something about it, or can I let it go? Do I need help? For me, it just brings up those prompts.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. And I think that apart from the myth busting that we are like doing and calling out certain phrases, these questions are questions that we need to ask ourselves all the time, because there are so many benchmarks that we have been given, and we have been told that they are the God spell, I don't know, but they don't necessarily align with us. And the fact that we are trying to align with something that doesn't align with us is what causes the disconnect. And it is so hard to
Yes.
really move forward, no matter what age you are, when you're not aligned with what you're meant to do, what really resonates with you, how you want to show up. And it's always like a constant push. And we don't like push, right, Yvonne? We really don't like push. We like pull. And you can only be in the zone, you can only be pulled when you are aligned, when you feel that things are happening and they make sense to you. And that is the great thing about community, and especially when you are with like-minded people, because they, there you can discuss and develop the stuff that really matter to you. They don't necessarily make sense to people in your environment, maybe. And don't forget that is that environment that you're in that is actually holding on to these types of limitations, limiting beliefs. I mean, that's where you develop them from in some way. Like, I know what was my upbringing and what are the expectations for in my family, in my country, and that is okay. For, like, as long as I understand them and I know them and I keep the things that are aligning with me, and I, like, put away the things that don't. So yeah, this is something to
Absolutely.
consider.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think this is why, one of the reasons, not the only reason, but one of the reasons why we created the community, because this stuff works and it really does help you to start to put things into perspective and to ask yourselves better quality questions so that you can start having the outcomes that you want, not that society dictates, not that, I don't know, some authoritarian somewhere has telling you it needs to be, but you get to really align to what matters to you, what is on the inside of you. And, these phrases, I should be doing more, that voice that comes up, that's come from somewhere. That's been created from a scenario or a situation where that was how you were kind of left feeling. And different language, different words may be used, but the feeling is the same. And it's really that measuring your worth by your output. And that's the only way for you to measure, how you stand, your position in the world. And of course that's just crazy. And what that also does, certainly from my perspective as a self-care coach, is that this is why people get caught on that hamster wheel and they dare not rest. They dare not do the things that they need because they're already behind. The pressure is on. I've got to keep going. And, that leads to high levels of stress, that leads to burnout and so many other things. And it's just not the way forward. And the reality is, it's not the truth. It feels real, but it's not the truth. And so what we have to do is kind of always kind of reframe that and understand that actually when we take our foot off the pedal, what we're doing is empowering ourselves and giving ourselves the rest we need so that we can go and be productive, so that we can go and do the care that we want to do, so that we can go and have whatever it is that we want to have. But the rest and the looking after the self kind of comes first.
Because it is
Phrase two,
also,
Effie, over to you.
yeah. It is also the before we go to phrase two, I just want to, like, say that we unless you understand how you look after yourself is more important to you and everybody else around you, you will never be able to actually do the things you want to do. And that's why we need, as you say so wonderfully, Yvonne, give yourself the space and grace. It's not just for you and it's not selfish. That's why it's not selfish, because it is for everyone around you. as well. And our phrase too, it sort of like goes in that, and it says, "I feel bad taking time for myself." So, what does that mean? How can you not take time for yourself? If you don't take time for yourself, who is? Because, like, I know that, like, we come from an era that we did not grow up with all this social media and the pressure that we are getting now, with like everybody seemingly doing like everything all the time, and unless you are constantly doing something, you're doing nothing or whatever. And I love you put a post out recently, Ivona, and I really love that. It's like taking, like, not doing something, not doing like anything at this particular moment in time, in reality is doing something. And it is very hard to understand that, but it's so important to really give it some thought, because that's how you avoid burnout. That's how
Yeah.
you avoid not showing up the way that you want to show up. That's how you avoid not being productive. So it's like, it might sound like an oxymoron,
Yeah.
but it's not. It's important. And thanks for the post. Well, that was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And actually, I mean, this particular phrase, "I feel bad taking time for myself," is one that I hear so often with the women that I work with. I feel bad taking time for myself when I know that my kids need this, my work needs that, my partner needs this. Da, 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 da. They can give me the whole list of what everybody needs, and I'm like, and what about what you need? Oh, I haven't even got time to even consider that right now. And that feeds back into, I feel bad taking time for myself. There are so many other things and so many other people that require things from me. How can I possibly take care of my needs? I'm like, okay, so when the pot is dry, when your resources are now depleted and you're actually in some state of deficit, then what? Then who's going to take care of the needs of all these people and things that you've mentioned? And who's also going to take care of you? Where is that coming from? Where is that coming from? So for me, feeling bad, taking time for yourself, it speaks into, for me personally, into a lack of self-worth, self-value. Like, you are showing up and you are doing so much and giving so much. Fantastic, beautiful, wonderful. But if it's to the detriment of your well-being, then that is not okay. There is nothing about that is okay. And to feel bad about taking time for yourself, I always feel like, so as a parent, if your child said to you, "Oh, no, 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 I can't do that. I can't take time for myself," I'm sure you would have some words of wisdom for them that would make them know that actually it's important that they do that. So that lip service that you give, you kind of need to turn it back in on yourself. It needs to come back, because if you're not showing them that, why would they do it themselves? This is like the role modeling element of this. Is, if you want the people around you, be they your children, be they your colleagues, be they your friends, family members, if you want them to understand that they have value, then take time for yourself. Show them what it looks like to value self.
Wow, that's so powerful, Yvonne. That's really, really great. I think that this is, in a way, I want to say the easiest, but I know it's the wrong word there. But let's say is the easiest way to understand how to be what you want to be, by showing others what you want to be. Because as women, we tend to do, like, to easier do things for others than we do for ourselves. So let's turn that on its head and say, okay, I'm going to be the role model that I would like or would have liked to see when I was growing up. Or, if you have children, I want to be the role model for my children. So, what do I want them to see? Do I want my daughter to be 50 years old and be completely depleted and taken for granted and just being there for everybody else but herself? I doubt any mother would want that. But why would you want that for yourself? And of course, why would you model that?
Exactly. Exactly. And I think and that's why, it's easy to find the words to say, oh no, really look after yourself. Don't tell them, show them. Show them. Because that really stays with people. If you show me, then I see, wow, I see that my mum, my dad, it doesn't matter who that person is, actually stops and puts things aside and does something for themselves. So it's okay for me to do that. And I remember having this conversation with somebody about, we were talking, in fact, she was asking me about when I worked for British Airways. And she said, oh, I've never really understood the whole thing with the mask. Why wouldn't I put the mask on my children or my elderly parents before myself? It makes no sense to me. Of course, I want them to be saved. I'm like, of course you want them to be saved. But let's picture the scenario that you've put the mask on your children or on your elderly parents. They're safe. Something else happens, and now you're out of the game because you didn't put your mask on. Who's going to take care of them then? Who is there to look after them then? Not you. So the whole point is if you put your mask on first, one, you're ensuring that you are safe and able, and you are able to get those other people who are perhaps less able than you into a safe space. And you are there with them. Because if you even if you translate that from a burnout perspective, is if you just keep on stacking masks on everybody else and you don't put your own on, you're the one who's going to burn out. You're the one who may have to take a year off of work because you are not just physically depleted, you are not well, and you need to recover. So it's so important to understand that this, I feel bad taking time for myself. For me, is like such a critical myth to bust, because there are so many, too many people out there damaging their health on the back of it, on the back of that myth.
And that is it. It's like it does affect you physically as well. It's not like a matter of like, okay, this is how I live life. It's like you really take yourself out of the game by doing that. And what is more selfish than not being 100% to support the people that you love or the people that depend on you? So it is definitely food for thought. And I think that if you like think about it, and I know we have discussed that before, Yvonne, we have the tendency to think taking time for myself is like a 5 hour a day thing. So yeah, I can't afford to do it. There is no way I'm doing that. I have to go all the way to the gym, all the way to the spa, all the way to whatever. It's not like that. So for anyone out there that they are still thinking, oh, I really can't take time for myself, well, think again. Like 10 minutes a day might make a huge difference. 15 minutes, half an hour maximum. But
Yeah,
that can make such a big difference in
yeah,
replenishing yourself, in tapping into your joy, into like clearing your head, into just having a walk in nature, or playing with your cat, for goodness sakes. I mean, I personally find a lot of joy there, and relaxation just by doing that. So there are things to do that replenish you, and they don't take time, and it's just for you. Just, you know, keep the noise out, and really love yourself at that particular moment in time. You deserve it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And with the whole time thing, taking time for myself, as if taking time for yourself is some luxury. Taking time for yourself is what you do to replenish, re-energize, and go again. Right? That's not a luxury. That's something that you do because you understand that it will benefit all of those around you in that moment. So I think we need to stop. Taking time for yourself is not this beautiful luxury thing that you have to do. And as you said, Evie, minutes a day. If you're not taking any minutes a day right now, 2 minutes a day would be great. Right? So it doesn't have to be that I've never done it and I don't know how to, and now suddenly somebody's telling me I need to take 3 hours out of my day to do something for myself. No, micro, go small. Find those little pockets of time during the day where you can consistently, because consistency is the most important thing, where you can consistently replenish yourself, where you can consistently put back into your cup that which you are pouring out. And I'll tell you now, if you have never experienced the benefit of having a full to overflowing cup and then serving people from there, I want to invite you to try it, because it is so much more satisfying. You can give so much more because you're not depleted and you're not depleting, and you just keep topping it up. And then you can go and do the things that you really want to do, and do it from a place of well being, not a place of have to, must do, should do, all of those things that usually come into it. There's so much more joy tied to doing it when you are replenished and energized to do the work. So I think this thing about learning, where we've learned to prioritize other needs, other people's needs before our own, that there was I want to say not every woman, but so many women that I know have had that experience, have had that embedded into their upbringing, that we need to, it's time now to really, kick that into touch, and understand that those people that you want to help and serve and be there for will get so much more from you when you are in a state of well-being. It's not just for you, it's for everyone.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that is the message today that we need to leave people with, Yvonne. And I'm quite, I don't know. I mean, from my side, I cannot see any lagging and stuff, so I don't know what's going on. But like, if you can see it from your side, or if people are experiencing it, apologies. This is what's happening when things are live. Um, but hopefully, you really got the message, what we want to share with you today.
Yes. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely been a bit of a time delay today, and so if you see long pauses and things, that's literally just because the messages just aren't flowing. But yes, as Evie said, this is what happens when you go live, and it's all good, and no big drama, no big fuss, no big anything. It just is what it is. We're still showing up, and that's the most important thing. So I want to say, think about that, about empowering phrases that you can use. When I care for myself, I model healthy boundaries. When I care for myself, I model healthy boundaries. Surely that's something we want to put more of out there, so that our children, our friends, our colleagues feel and give themselves permission to do the same. And that's like the best thing that we can do. So I want to not challenge you, I want to invite you to do one thing this week, purely for your own joy, purely for your own joy or comfort. Test it out, see what it feels like, give yourself that moment, and understand that that's not a luxury, it's a It's a necessity. It's what you need to stay well and to take your brilliance out into the world, as I always say.
Absolutely. Thank you, Yvonne. It's been great. And
Fantastic. Okay.
once
We are
again,
going to absolutely, Evie. Thank you so much, and thank you with the patience with whatever is happening on the tech front. That I think we've managed to manoeuvre our ways through it one way or another. And yeah, any comments, any thoughts, please post them under the video. We're always interested to hear what you've got to say. And if you're looking for a community that really wants to hold that space for you so that you can do the inner work that allows you to shift from these myths running the show to you running the show, please do look us up, permissiontothrive.online. Find out more about us, reach out to us via LinkedIn or through the platform itself when you go to permissiontothrive.online, and we will be more than happy to answer any questions. Thank you so much.
thank you. Bye.